Okay. We're going to talk about the history of our gaming together. So, where did we start? Do you remember?
Man, I remember living in a single wide trailer, and in the kitchen, that's where I had my little Nintendo set up.
Oh, you dang
I
right.
know we started with the Nintendo in there. I
And
can
dude,
remember.
I
That's my
remember
earliest memory of that.
I remember one night I'd like people don't know like the conditions we lived in as kids. And dude, I don't know if I ever brought it up to you or anything like that. I do remember like we would spend all day playing out in the woods or walking down the road and all that stuff, no shirts on. And there was one time I got sunburned so damn bad, like bad sunburned. And you remember in that kitchen where we played games, I had that little corner and there was that chair, like the cloth, like not really a recliner. It was just like a living room chair.
Regular.
Yeah. There were ants in that motherfucker. And like, okay, for anybody that doesn't know, this house, it had a front door. I have to guess that it had a front door, but it was never closed. The windows were always open. And, but there were ants. There were ants in this chair. And I was sleeping in that chair. I don't know if I fell asleep while we were gaming. I don't know what happened, but I was sleeping in that damn chair. And the ants got on me and bit my sunburn. And oh my God, it was horrible. It was painful. But that little area, dude, like to see some kids playing Nintendo, just living our life, and the excitement that would come along when we found out that ramen noodles, however you call them, those noodles were being cooked for dinner. That was an excitement. Like, you gotta think of where we came from.
Those and those burritos.
Yeah, dude, those freaking Aunt B, that's Ross's mom. She would break out a big old like gumbo, like stew pot, and throw like 10 packages of ramen noodles in that sucker, and that's what was for dinner. And pizza rolls. I mean, that was a delicacy that was hard to come by. But microwaved pizza rolls while we were sitting there playing the earliest of games. What was the earliest game that we played together? Think back real hard.
I cannot remember the earliest game. I know we played Mario. I mean, that was one of the first games. Usually we'd rob the neighbor kids' games because they had Super Nintendo too.
Was it a Super Nintendo that we had started off on?
We started off on a regular Nintendo. I remember we played Karnov and stuff like that. You remember that little like turkey guy that spit fireballs and stuff?
I don't.
He wasn't actually like a animal turkey. He was like from the country turkey.
Oh,
like that.
I got you.
In the store where we stopped and bought the bomb burrito from selling up all the scrap metal, they had an arcade machine of Karnov in there.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember going over to Aunt Nails and playing Zombies Ate My Neighbors.
She was a huge Zelda. That was Wayne's. Wayne had Zombies Ate My Neighbor on the Sega. Aunt Nell had the Zelda. She had like Zelda memorized.
Yeah, she did. Every time I went over there, she was playing Zelda. And,
that and Dr. Mario.
And spitting her Copenhagen in a green bean or corn can.
Or Dr. Pepper can.
Ooh, that must have been later.
Yeah.
I remember the green bean and corn cans sitting all over the place.
Well, I specifically
Copenhagen
remember the
spitted.
Dr. Pepper cans because I drank like half of them.
Oh, that's nasty.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I threw up.
Okay, where my memory starts with our gaming together. Obviously, there was going over to your house and playing, like when the upgrade happened and there was the house with doors and AC and all that stuff on it. There, we have such a long journey to go. So it's before the trailer out back, the portable building out front. So, what was it? WCW versus NWO.
Oh, I do remember that one.
Dude, coming over and like playing that game. I had an infatuation. Like, I grew up into wrestling. Always, Sting will always be my favorite. My favorite movie is The Crow, and then Sting turned into a variation of The Crow. I couldn't get enough of Sting. It was just an amazing time of my life. And Ross had NWO or WCW versus NWO Monday Nitro, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And at the same time, Goldberg was big, and I mean literally, and he was a big thing. The old undefeated Who's Next, and that game had them both. And I didn't play with anybody but Sting or Goldberg, and I love spearing the shit out of people with Goldberg. Good old football tackle. You can't get much better than that. And then at my house, here we go. I think this is where it really kind of got started. At my house, I had finally, a generation behind, that's a long story I might have to put into a different video, but I finally got a Super Nintendo. When Ross was already on PlayStation, I got a Super Nintendo. And I got a bunch of games with it. It was a hand-me-down from a lady that we went to church with. My mom got it from her because her son had upgraded and she was just giving it away. So I got a Super Nintendo and all the games that he had, her grandson. So in that was a game called Zelda, A Link to the Past. I believe everybody here knows what game I'm talking about. Ross and I started playing it by myself, and I was kind of getting into it, and it had a little book with it that told where the heart pieces were and stuff. So I was getting into it, but there was no memory card that came with it, and we weren't really into buying extra things. So I had what came with the Super Nintendo, no memory card. So I would play the game a little while, and I would do a little part of it, and then the next time I would play, I would start right back at the first. I would go to a different area and play. And then after a little while of that, Ross came over, and he made the decision that we're going to play this damn game from beginning to end without turning the Super Nintendo off because we didn't have a memory card. And we did it, obviously. And the ending to that game, kind of watching that game go along and then getting to the ending. Honestly, like if I had to pinpoint anything that brought me to a sense of completion within video gaming, it would be the ending to Zelda: A Link to the Past. The ending to that game had me hooked to what can happen with a game from beginning to end. How did you feel about it, Ross?
I don't know, man. I mean, shit. I always look forward to coming over on Fridays and stuff, and like, it would really bum me out whenever I didn't get to come over and play, and just playing that game being there, I could just watch you play it the whole time, and I'd just be happy, just in a simpler time.
Yep.
Just
it was the
hanging
same.
out.
And obviously, with our next gaming adventure, I keep pulling my cord. In our next gaming adventure, it was a lot of that. Either one of us were happy watching the other one play. And that game was The Illusion of Gaia. What do you have to say about The Illusion of Gaia, Ross?
It pissed me off when we found all the red ruby things and we couldn't beat the special level. I never remember beating the special level in that. It was a very, very big emotional roller coaster because you're going through that game. That game was depressing for a freaking 13, 14-year-old kid.
Yeah.
I'm like...
Tell us the part. Tell us the part that got us both.
The part that got us the worst is when the pig sacrificed itself. It just ran into the fire and sacrificed itself to the cannibals that were going to eat us.
Yeah. So in this game, there's a whole city that had been taken over by this sorcerer or whatever. And this is one tiny little section. This game was freaking huge to be a Super Nintendo game. It took us forever, and Ross had a memory card, and we were able to save and start at different points. And I couldn't play the game without Ross there. Ross couldn't play it without me there. It just was not the same without us both being there. And this one portion of the game, it was a city. I don't even remember the name of the city. I remember one name of one city, and I think you know what that one is. Moo. So, city with vampires. Okay. Anyway, this little village, town, city, whatever you want to call it, everybody in the town had been turned into stone statues by this sorcerer. And there was only one figment of life within this village, and it was a pig. And correct me if I'm wrong, I think wasn't the pig, it was a kid that had been turned into the pig to warn other people.
I thought it was that little girl's pig.
Oh yes, it was her pet pig.
Yeah. And
he sacrificed himself. It took a sacrifice to bring all the people of the city back, and the freaking pet pig sacrificed himself, ran straight into the fire to bring all the people of the city back to life.
You didn't even have a choice. That sucker just booked it into the fire.
Yep. You're talking to him, and then he just takes off. And like you said, a 13, 14-year-old kid, seeing sacrifices made by a pet for an entire city, that was quite an emotional ride. There was a lot of sad portions, a lot of angry portions, some laughing. There was a lot of stuff involved with that game.
You started off with like 6 friends, and by the end of the game, you had like none of them left.
Yeah, old Freedan, man, that dude. Okay, so moving on from Illusion of Gaia and moving forward in generations, I had gotten... There's a gnat flying around my face. I had finally gotten a PlayStation, and I worked for money, worked for my dad, and got some money, and I bought me some games. And the first 2 games I bought were Tomb Raider and Resident Evil, the first one. And I did not like Tomb Raider. I don't know why. I could not buy into Tomb Raider. So I took it back, returned it, and I got Silent Hill, the first one. and playing that game as a young kid, I only played at nighttime right before bed, and I was already in. If you've watched the documentary that I have on this channel about the paranormal stuff, I was already in a messed up house, things that were going on, and you're playing Silent Hill, and you're going through there in the dark by yourself, and you're seeing freaking bloody bodies chained to the wall and bodies hanging out in the middle of the school. I kind of abandoned that one as well and moved on to Resident Evil. Resident Evil captured me. It was a crazy new thing, and I really enjoyed that game. And then going over to Ross's, Ross shortly after had procured Resident Evil 2. Would you like to talk about that one, Ross?
Man, that one kind of upset me because there again, here we are with no memory cards. We got all the way to the part where the alligator was in the sewer. And, like, we had played, like, without dying, saving on those typewriters with those ink ribbons. We played all the way to the alligator part and just to get eaten by the alligator and have to start all the way over. And that game, I liked playing it, but that ruined it for me.
We eventually got it. That game for me, playing that with you, that was aside from, the first one, obviously, and Silent Hill, really, really piqued my interest into survival horror and doing the puzzles and stuff. It was that game. It was just kind of done different, in my opinion. It was set aside. It was set apart from the first Resident Evil and Silent Hill. It's just. That's a whole different story altogether. That's just a messed up shit. That's just messed up. But Resident Evil 2 really got me into the survival horror, figuring out the puzzles, and wondering where that was going to go, which we all know that moving forward in the franchise, they kind of got off track, and that game was a little as it went. Well, let's not even talk about Resident Evil 6, right? Although I did put, and in the history with Jimmy, you'll hear more about Resident Evil 5 and 4. I never got into number 3. Did you?
No. After 1 and 2, I didn't really play any more of them. I didn't like the set style where you weren't. I know they got out of it further into the franchise, but I didn't like the stationary areas. Like, you're walking through and navigating through the mansion and shit, and everything's the same. You can't look around. You walk over to the wall and pick up this thing that you can't even see.
So the fixed camera threw you off?
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted them
from walking by the stuff. Like, you walk by the stuff 400 times and get stuck.
Yeah.
You didn't pick this thing up.
Yeah. A lot of people wanted them to go back to that.
Really?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I didn't like it either, but it gave it a crazy feel. I just could not get into number 3. Number 1, number 2, good. Skip 3, number 4, number 5, really good. Skip 6. 7 was incredible. I haven't played Village yet.
What was 3 called? Was it Nemesis?
Nemesis. Yeah. Okay, so I think we skipped a little bit. Actually, kind of not really, but on the 64, the old N64, you put quite a bit of time, as I recall, into Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask.
Oh, yeah. I still have those, actually, for the GameCube. They came with one of the, I forget which version of Zelda they came with, but they had both the games on one disc if you bought a certain Zelda.
I have heard from multiple sources that Ocarina of Time is possibly the greatest Zelda made.
I liked it. It was different. It was something new. It was definitely a change from the regular Zelda. But if I had to put one up there, it would probably be Twilight Princess.
Really?
Yes.
Okay,
I
so
liked I liked Ocarina of Time because it was just the whole the whole style of Zelda changed with it.
yes. And I never owned a 64 myself. I never had the chance to play it. I mean, I could have with you, but I think during that time things were just kind of weird, and we weren't hanging out as much as we did at before and after that. That was just kind of a strange period. But I get, for the lack of a better term, reprimanded when I mention that A Link to the Past is my favorite Zelda game, because people say how, because Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask exist, but I never got to play those. Now my youngest child is so infatuated with Breath of the Wild, it's pitiful. I got to hear about all the different kinds of Ganons and stuff that she come across in there, and she watches YouTube videos and goes and gets all the special stuff and does the special tricks, does crazy things to. She's 9. She's been playing it since she was 7, and she still enjoys it. I know you bought a Switch while we were on location in New Mexico.
Yeah.
Strictly for that game, didn't you?
I don't think it was Breath of the. Yeah, it was.
It was Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's actually the most popular Zelda game of all time right now.
Wasn't I the one? Didn't I pick that up from Walmart for you?
Probably. You're like, hey, they got it, because we kept looking for it every day.
Yeah,
every day, every time we went into that freaking Carlsbad Walmart.
Man, which brings us to a later portion, but okay, so in the timeline, the history of us, got up to Resident Evil 2. What back in the day? Well, I mean, we eventually turned 16 and got interested in other things, and gaming kind of took a back burner to things that teenagers like, girls and music and things like that. Was there any steps in between that and where we went to later?
I don't remember any like in betweens from our time playing together to when we started playing together again. Like it was more of like a solo thing for me. I've kind of went off on my own playing like GameCube and stuff like that, because that was about the time I started dating Megan.
Yeah.
Like I was all into GameCube. It was about the time when GameCube was out.
Yeah.
We really didn't play anything together.
I remember you got with Megan, and like I know I would come over there every once in a while to Megan's house, and y'all would be playing something at all times. There was something y'all were playing.
Smash Brothers. Probably.
Smash Brothers. That was a good one.
Played a lot of that because her brother Nick had friends that would come over and we'd all play against each other. I had all like 4 wireless controllers and we'd all be in there playing against each other.
Yep. I didn't get to play that with you, but I did play that elsewhere, and that was a pretty good game. It was very easy to sit there and play that damn game for I mean, hours upon hours, and think you'd been sitting there for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So, okay, we were kids. We played a bunch of video games. We grew up. We became teenagers. We did things. We graduated high school. We got into other things, and we kind of split ways for a little while, and then came back together. And then at that point, life had taken over, and we've got to figure out what we've got to do. And so we talked about work, what we were going to do with work. We stayed in the same profession for a long time. And then we kind of went separate ways again. I don't remember what all happened, but we're still in the same profession, different companies, and we're doing all kinds of stuff. And then I guess that would fast forward us to New Mexico, right?
Yeah, that was the next interaction we had together.
Which is,
did we play anything before Wildlands?
No, I don't think so. And the story on that one is, I grew the gaming that I wanted, which is obviously, if you've ever, I don't know if anybody on here has ever seen my gaming room. I'm a huge Fallout fanatic, Far Cry, those games like that, which is another story involving my history. Got really big into Fallout and Far Cry. I developed a taste for open world shooters, and at the time I really didn't like Borderlands. And still really, even like, I did get addicted to Borderlands 2, and I think Borderlands 3 is one of the greatest games made. Pretty incredible, but I still like the way my gaming mind drives is open world, realistic, like guns that really exist. So Borderlands was kind of teetering on the edge of realism, and it really took a story to get me in. And I feel like Borderlands did that pretty good in number 2 and number 3, especially number 3. Number 3 has a great story. But I really like open world realistic games, and throughout our life, we had gone different directions. Not just in life, but in gaming. Me and Ross were reconnected and ended up in the same company, working in New Mexico, and and in our profession in the oil field, you live in a travel trailer, and you live on location somewhere in the oil field. And I was hanging out at his trailer, and I don't even remember how it got brought up. You had Wildlands, and it wasn't even open yet. I think you were playing a game I wasn't a fan of.
Yeah.
And I said, "What is this game? What is this?" And you started explaining it to me, and I was like, "Holy shit, like open world realistic game." That's like, I really enjoyed Battlefield 3. Like, in my opinion, multiplayer online gaming, Battlefield 3 was way up there. It was tops. And then the way Ross described it to me was like open world Battlefield against like PvE. So I said, "Holy shit, dude, you haven't even opened it yet? Let's open it up." And and Ross was like, "It's pretty late." And I said, "Let's just play a little bit. Let's see what it's about." And so we opened it up, we put it in, we installed it, and I started playing. And an hour in, and if you don't know, oil field shifts are super long, and back then we were having to get up at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, drive a long ways down dangerous highways and all kinds of shit like that. It's getting late, and Ross is like, "I thought you were just going to play a little bit of it." And I had gotten very, very little into the game and realized this game was made for me. And I kept playing and kept playing. Ross kept saying, "Thought you were just going to play a little bit." which was a hint for get the fuck out. I'm going to sleep. But a couple of days later, I couldn't help myself. I went to the Carlsbad Walmart and bought another PS4 because I left mine at home. Bought another PS4, bought Ghost Recon Wildlands, and we started playing together again. And in this day and age, with the new consoles that we hadn't played together in this way, it was always like same screen, 2-player. If we're playing it like Contra, well, I mean, I know you remember Contra.
Yeah, split screen.
Yep, playing the split screen, same screen, 2-player games. We had never system linked and played like this before. And in fact, I had a PS4 for a while, and I laughed at something we were doing. We were always doing stupid shit, and I laughed at something, and I said, I wish I could record this shit. And Ross said, you can. You just hit the share button and record it. So that opened up, like, that moment. I felt dumb, but that opened up a whole new world to me as far as gaming together and getting to the point where we're at now in streaming and putting out content. A whole new world. And I mean, I'd really have to say that Ross is what kind of got me into wanting to do the streaming thing and wanting to do the content stuff, because at that point I really didn't understand it. I really didn't know how to do it, and Ross kind of coached me into it. He'll tell you I'm a little hard-headed when it comes to listening about new things, because I like doing what I'm used to.
It took me 2 weeks to get you to download Discord.
I still don't have it. I'm just kidding with you. Just kidding. But anyway, so going from Ghost Recon, I'll tell you, and I don't know if Ross even knows my true feelings on what's coming next, but that little era there, we started working on a well together called the El Presidente. And I think you know where I'm going with this, Ross. At the time, we're on this well. They decided to go ahead and release a little game called Destiny 2. I had, in fact, like, okay, we enjoyed gaming, but we had a job to do. We had things to do. There was a lot of work to do. And so there was a little bit of time we got to spend together. I mean, literally, we lived less than 20 feet from each other. My trailer was over here. There was a water trailer between us, and then Ross's trailer. So he's literally less than 20 feet from me. I didn't see this motherfucker for like 3 weeks. This dude was so wrapped up in Destiny 2 that he forgot what the outside world was like. Do you remember that?
I was doing good to take a shower every day or two.
This motherfucker would call Chili's, order some food, call Buffalo Wild Wings, order some food, and be like, hey, we got some food, go get it. And I would have to go get the food and bring it back so we could eat. But anyway, then he decided that it was time for a change, time to go home. So he left the location, left me with somebody else on location. I ended up getting them into... I had played... At that point, dude, I had played Wildlands. I went through 100%, went through the full game 100%, and then I went through the full game as a challenge, went through the game with pistols only. I did the whole damn thing with pistols only. And then I went through the whole damn game again, pistols only, but only hip firing. I challenged myself as it went on, and like of course there's sometimes you have to use a different gun, but like for the main point, only hip firing with pistols. Like I went through that game and loved it so damn much. Like I just kept playing it, and I got to a point where I noticed that these little rocks jutting out of the mountains they were little points for a good view. And this was also before they implemented the picture mode, camera mode. I would run around on the map until I found one of those rocks jutting out of a mountain, and I would go up to it and I would sit on the edge of that rock because it's giving you a view, and you would have to see it in game time until either a sunrise or a sunset, wherever they were pointing you, would happen, and then screenshot it, because the views in that game were amazing, and it still are. But
you actually got a comment from the devs on your stuff that you posted.
Oh yeah. I was running around just taking pictures of sunsets and sunrises, doing screenshots before camera mode. And I mean, I'm not gonna say this is what did it, but I took these screenshots. I took a ton of screenshots, and then I put them on Ubisoft's Facebook page, I believe.
It was Twitter.
Was it Twitter?
It was Twitter. Because I remember following you and following them, and they actually commented on your Twitter post. Pretty
sweet. And I'm not going to say that I'm the reason why, but not too long after that, a camera mode came out for the game. I mean,
I would venture to say that you were an inspiration.
Yeah. Pretty neat stuff though. So after Ross left the location and went back home, I was on location with other people, and the safety guy out there, the guy that was monitoring for deadly gas known as hydrogen sulfide, he hung out in my trailer because I had my recording studio. I recorded music on location, which was pretty nuts, and I also had my PS4 and I gamed.
Everybody hung out in your trailer. Truck drivers, everybody.
Them truck drivers hung out because I made damn good tacos.
I don't know about all that.
Mondo. Armando Lucero, he hung out because of the music. But so I bought Borderlands, the Handsome Collection or some shit. It had the pre-sequel and Borderlands 2 in it, and I played like this was knowing that I could not get into Borderlands 1. I just couldn't do it. Didn't like it. Bought Borderlands 2 just to pass the time, and I saw the pre-sequel. Obviously, I'm going to start with that. I started with it and couldn't get into it, and I was like, damn it, I'm not going to like the rest of this either. But I went ahead and started it anyway, and I got sucked in. And then sitting there watching the safety guy, he got interested, and we started playing. I got super addicted to it, and then Steven Johnson came out, and he went and bought a PS4 because Call of Duty World War II was coming out, and we played that for a while. We would sit there and jam with the studio monitors, jamming all the new music that I was recording while I was out there. Had a Dillinger St. Cloud playlist for playing Call of Duty World War II. And we also, Steven played Borderlands 2 with me for quite a while too. But there was that little period of time where you went back home, we didn't do anything, and then I started getting into Warzone, and I forgot what even really pushed us back into gaming together. Besides, I texted you about some music that I had made, and you refused to text me back for like 6 months, and then asked me something about gaming or something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I think I found out you were streaming again.
Maybe that was it.
And I started playing with you guys.
Yeah.
You and Jimmy and everybody were on. You're still on actually on PlayStation, and you had
Yep.
just told me that you ordered your computer. That's what it was.
Yeah. Ordering that computer changed a lot.
Yeah.
There's still some upgrades, but it's going good. We're able to do things like this, like what we're doing right now, which is I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so we booted back up. We started playing Warzone, which everybody knows. Me and Jimmy had been playing, and I finally got Dandy back into it. He had stopped playing it for a while, and then so we created a team that you know now as Poot Syndicate, and we started playing. And then Ross came back around, and he started playing Warzone with us. And then Battlefield 2042's been announced. There's all kinds of good stuff coming up. Back 4 Blood was finally had a release date. So if you watch our Twitch, if you watch the TikToks, you know we've been going back through Left 4 Dead because Back 4 Blood is technically Left 4 Dead 3. So we went through the whole Left 4 Dead series and getting ready for that, which the release date is awfully close to Battlefield 2042, which is what we're really looking forward to. We've been playing Battlefield 4 lately. Ross has contracted the virus, and he spends a lot of time at home. So he's been playing a lot of Battlefield 4. I think he's going to be pretty well versed in the Battlefield universe by the time Battlefield 2042 comes out. But that's basically the history of where me and Ross came from, how we got to here. And hopefully moving forward, there will be new history made. And the Syndicate will grow. How do you feel about that? Do you think the Syndicate will grow?
I think so, man. You got to look back at your life, man. Everything you do, it always grows. Like, everybody wants to surround you, and you surround yourself with cool people.
Me?
Yeah.
Interesting. I've had a lot of close calls. I'm a very determined person, and I've had a lot of success. I've got this hand here. A lot of success has just went right through it, just slipped right through my hand. And it's always some sort of outside force. Like, it's something that I could not help. It was just out of my hands. Something I couldn't stop from happening. And for a while it pushed me down and dropped my determination back a little bit, and I stopped pushing so hard on certain things. And there's lessons I learned from some of it. And when you're trying to do certain things, it's hard to depend on other people to help you into the success. And that's been the case a lot. But I think in this, I think we've got a good team. And I think if we just push, we stick with it, we get folks out here in follower land to help push, show people that we're kind of stupid and we have funny jokes, and making fun of each other is one of our big things, trolling each other. I think it'll be fun. If we stick to the fun thing, rather than pushing for success, just having fun with it. That's where we came from, and that's where we need to keep our eyes. I think there can be some success involved in it.
Yeah.
You can agree?
I agree, yeah.
And so as of the moment this video is made, as of this very moment, we've completed the Left 4 Dead series. We have played the shit out of Warzone. And we're still kind of messing around with Battlefield 4. But we really, we're trying to figure out where we want to go until 2042 comes out, October 22nd. we're going to figure something out. We're going to keep you entertained somehow. But until next time, I would like to ask you, get your friends in here, get in at the beginning. Let's create a community. Let's have some fun. Get in the chat. Troll me. Troll whoever you want to, because I'll read it to them. You can troll whoever you want to. Jimmy is a good subject for trolling. Come over to the TikTok. Come over. Just check out our social media. Have a lot of fun. Let's laugh together. Let's grow together. Let's create a fantastic community. We'll catch you on the next one.